Welcome back to 31 Days of Proverbs. It is the second day of the month, which means we're on Proverbs chapter 2. And in Proverbs chapter 2, we're getting to listen in while Solomon writes a letter to his son and really imploring his son to seek after the more meaningful things in life, seek after wisdom. He encourages him to fear the Lord. And if you're not familiar with the Word of God, when it says fear the Lord, it doesn't mean like terror of the Lord or to live in, what we would think of as I'm terrorized by this, great big guy in the sky. It means to respect him, to seek after, to kind of live in awe of his greatness and to have respect for his words. And Solomon's telling his son, I want you to live a meaningful life full of blessings, full of joy. And I don't want you to live an empty, shallow life that you get to the end of it and wonder, what was this all about? And he tells his son the way to do that is to seek after the things of God, the things that are higher than us, the things that are more meaningful than us, the things that are beyond ourselves. We even see that in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It started off originally as the epitome of that was self-actualization, but Maslow came back later in life and actually said, no, that's actually not right. The hierarchy, the top of the pyramid should be self-transcendence, and that is being a part of something greater, being a part of something bigger than yourself. And so that's Solomon's hope for his son. Now, history tells us that Solomon's son doesn't actually listen to the words of his father, the wise words. He actually ignores these and goes on to ruin. But you and I can learn from this. We cannot make that same mistake. And we can listen to these wise words from Solomon. And I want to really focus in on one word that comes up over and over again in chapter 2. And that word is path. Solomon uses it in verse 8, verse 9, verse 13, again in verse 20. And I want to read you verse 9. It says this, and this is after he's talked about seeking after wisdom. He says this, verse 9, Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Later in verse 20, he says that thou mayest walk in the way of good men and keep the paths of the righteous. I got to tell you, I really like the sound of that. Walking in the way of good men, keeping the path of the righteous. Verse 9, every good path. I really like how that sounds, and I want to be able to live a life that is beyond myself, that puts me on the right path, on the good path. He also, as Solomon usually does, you'll see this theme over and over again. He'll say, if this, then this. And he'll say, if you do this, generally you'll be blessed, or you'll have wealth, or etc. But if you do this, you're going to have ruin. He actually explains in verse 13 about those who leave the paths of righteousness and walk in the ways of darkness. And he goes on saying, the people that don't search after the meaningful things, that don't make the hard decisions, that actually just say, I want the shallow things in life. Whatever makes me happy now, whatever feel good now, whatever little whim I can find that'll make me happy today, I want to do that thing. I want to fulfill that desire. And he goes on to explain that their path is ruin. And he actually really kind of describes what I would call here in the last few verses, a slippery slope, that getting off the righteous path and getting on the easy path, the path of whatever I want, whenever I want it, what happens is it takes you further than you ever intended to go. It's a very slippery slope, and I think there's probably many folks that are listening to this, myself included, that could say getting on that path will take you further than you ever intended to go. And some of us have had to fight and claw our way back to the right path. And if that's you today, I want you to know that there's hope. If you're not on the right path, you can get back on it. We'll talk about that in a little while. But first, what is this path we keep mentioning? Well, the Mandalorian calls it the way, and Jesus actually said the same thing. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. But without teaching you a whole Bible study, I'll just say this. You know when you're on the path. You know when you're in the right will of God. You know when you're doing the things you're supposed to do. You know when you're living the life you're supposed to live. You just know it. You feel it, right? You feel when you're doing things right. And on the flip side of that, you know when you're off the path. You feel it. You feel the dissatisfaction. You feel like something's not right. I could be doing more. I should be doing more. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Everybody knows that feeling. You know what it is to be off. You know what it is to be on. And I think it's worth pointing out when I think of the path. I go all the way back to the beginning. Adam and Eve. after Adam and Eve are in the garden. They've got everything made. They make their mistakes. And God tells Adam, here's what your life's going to look like from here on out. He tells Adam, from this point forward, you're going to have to work for everything you get. From this point forward, let me put it another way. For the rest of your life, you're going to put off the now for the future. For the rest of your life, you're going to put off what you want right now to have it later. And that's really kind of baked into the foundation of the universe. It's baked into being, if you will, is we have to walk a hard path that says, I'm going to have to delay what I want right now for what I want most. And I'll give you an easy example if you're going, well, I don't know, I'm not quite following you, Ryan. Here's a perfect, really simple, modern example that I think everybody would understand. If you want to be wealthy, right, and I think most of us would say, yeah, I'd love to be wealthy, that means I don't get to spend a lot of money right now. I have to put off spending money for a later time when I can save up and be wealthy. It's putting off the now for later. Another easy example that I think most would understand is if I want to be healthy, I don't get to eat everything that I want to eat right now at every whim. I actually will have to do some physical things that are hard that maybe I would rather not do, but I'm putting off the now for a future result. And that is the path. The path is saying it's not about what I want right this moment. It's about what's best for myself, what's best for those around me. How can I walk the right path, the path of righteousness, and put off every little whim and stay on the, some would call it the discipline path. If you've ever listened to my good buddy, and I say that facetiously, he doesn't know me, Jocko Willink, then you've heard the phrase discipline equals freedom. The path is a path of discipline. It's a path of hard work. It's a path of doing the hard things, not being afraid to say, you know what, no, I'm not going to have that right now. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to give in to that temptation because I'm living for another day. I'm living for a future that's better than the now. I'm living for a purpose that's higher than myself. I'm living for a calling that's higher than myself today. Funny thing about discipline, a lot of people think discipline means that you're bound up, or I think the church tends to get a bad rap. Churches in general get a bad rap from folks that would say, oh, the church is just a bunch of arbitrary rules that you have to follow. Well, here's been my life experience. My life experience is that discipline equals freedom. When I stay on the right path, it's the only way to freedom. By not spending money right now, which seems like not very fun, I've actually been very blessed in my finances to have financial freedom. By not eating the things I want to eat right now, I've been blessed in my health to be free of disease and free of sickness and free of pain. All those things lead to freedom. And if you're listening to this and you're saying, Ryan, you know what, that all sounds really great. If I was on the path, I'd be really excited about what you're saying right now. But I'm actually not on the path. I've been letting weakness win. I've been falling into temptation over and over again. I've let things slide. I've let standards go that I know I shouldn't. Well, I want to encourage you a little bit. This is actually a really simple thing, and I think everybody could be honest and say, hey, I've fallen off the path, or maybe I'm off right now, or I've fallen off many times. It's actually a really simple fix, okay? Not necessarily easy, but the fix is very simple, and that is you are one good decision from getting back on the path. And we've been talking about health. This is an easy example that I think everyone would understand, especially being that many folks probably set New Year's resolutions, and it's day 2 of the month, so some of those resolutions, especially the ones around food, have probably already fallen aside. You got off the path. You're one healthy meal away from being back on the path. You're one good financial decision from being back on your financial plan. You're one workout away from being back on your workout regimen. You're one kind word away from beginning to fix a relationship, getting back on the right path in a relationship in your life. You're one good conversation away from getting your marriage back on the right path. And I would finish with this. You're one prayer away from being back on the right path with God. Just one prayer, one conversation can put you back on the path where you need to be. And then you can make another good decision, one more good decision the next day and the next day. And I think by the end of this 30 days, you might be just shocked at how far you could be. And here's what I found. The longer you're on the path, the easier it is to stay on the path. So get on the path, stay on the path. If you fall off, make a good decision. Get back on the path. I'm going to ask you to do something today, and when this is over, I want you not to think about this for tomorrow or next week or next month. We have this funny way of rationalizing that we're going to be a better version of ourselves tomorrow. We have this funny way of rationalizing that I'll be more disciplined, or I'll be ready to make this decision tomorrow. But I find that tomorrow never actually comes, and we're actually not any better tomorrow. We're the same as we were today. So as soon as this is off, as soon as I wrap this up, I want you to pick one good decision to make. And anywhere that you've fallen off the path, make one good decision and get back on that path. And then we're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it the next day. And I can't wait to hear about your journey. Let us know how it's going. Let us know if there's anything in Proverbs chapter 2 that spoke to you. Leave it in the comments. Please share this with anybody you think that it could be helpful to. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.